The story kicks off with a goblin slayer kind of vibe. A bunch of ugly bastards try to jump the chicks because they can't score any. And just like that series, the main man arrives at the right moment from behind them bastards to send them to their maker in pieces rather than in peace. Then the cam freezes on our guy's helmet for a split second so he can give us the "you wonder how I ended up here" talk. You see, just like any other isekai or stuck-in-a-game type series, the hero wakes up oblivious to how he got into this world. Ark is the name of the main man. He is a holy knight with the powers of a high mage. To put it simply, the man is OP. Yet, there's one downside to his character model. Ark decided it'd be a cool idea to make the character cursed. Hence, when he removes his helmet by the river, it's revealed that he's got a skull for a head. Now, one must note that although he might look like an Ainz Ual gown copycat, he's not. Well, inspired maybe, but a straight copy. Nope. If anything, Ark gives off Brooks energy. For starters, he's chill like that, always keeps his headwear on, and has a goofy yaw laugh. With that being said, let's resume. After reaching the new world, Ark first checked that the drip he bought IRL was all there. These items include, but are not limited to, light and fire-resistant armor, his twilight cloak providing darkness resistance and mana regeneration, the holy shield granting him immunities according to his level, and last but not least, his big-ass, powerful yet swift holy thunder sword. He tests it out by using the wyvern/attack on a bunch of defenseless trees. The power output startles him a bit since this attack was never this strong in the game. Anyway, next up were his magic skills. There were a few alterations, like the fact that his teleportation spell, Dimension Move, became a short-distance teleport instead of being able to warp anywhere his mouse arrow clicked. Also, as a result of adding a high priest role to his set before being isekai'd, Ark gained the skills of all classes in addition to his holy knight abilities, which explains his healing, curse removal, and fire skills. Furthermore, he discovers he doesn't need to chant a long incantation to use a magic skill, something others in this world still have to do. All in all, Ark's skills, power, and armor are nothing short of godlike. Arriving at the closest town, Ark takes a moment to enjoy the scenery, sniffing the air thick with the smell of street food, enough to make his stomach growl. Sadly, the big man with the best armor in town has no money on him, so he's got to find a job. While strolling down the street, he overhears a conversation in an alley between a hooded woman and some guy who's got sleazy written all over his face. No surprise they're having a disagreement. Ark, however, doesn't give a damn about what they're arguing over, because he hears the magic word, elf. Just like any other fantasy nerd, those 3 letters are enough to ignite a fire in his heart and have him chasing after her. Sadly, he loses track of her and decides to head to the guild instead. The moment he walks in, all eyes are on him. That shiny armor makes him look like a big-shot veteran. Even the guild keeper is stunned when Ark asks for some quests. After all, someone wearing armor like that has to have some kind of steady income. The guild keeper informs Ark that to acquire an adventurer's license, he'll have to undergo a trial. He can either hunt down beasts, monsters, or even bandits. Killing 3 of the same type, or 1 of each, is more than enough to prove he's worthy of being a guild member. Thus, young Ark heads out to hunt wild boars and prove he's got what it takes. Incidentally, after bagging his second beast, an orc reveals itself, ready to throw hands. Naturally, the fantasy nerd is thrilled by the encounter and giggles at the idea of killing monsters, which he does pretty damn easily. I shit you not, it's like cutting through butter. He splits that mother lover clean in half. Grabbing its pieces along with the boars, Ark's hunt is a total success, so he calls it a day. However, while heading back to the guild, the knight in shining armor stumbles upon a highway where he spots a lady and her maid in their darkest hour, trying to fend off a gang of bandits. Ark says to hell with strategy. "You all fully built PUSSY," he mutters. "Time to jump those freaks." He teleports behind the thieves, and with one swing of his massive sword, the Holy Knight takes out 3 of them. The rest of the bandits, having seen Ark's power firsthand, try to run for their lives. Too bad for them, their opponent's an overpowered MC in an isekai, with a single wyvern slash from his holy sword. The thieves are pulverized. After checking on the 2 girls, Ark incinerates the bandits' bodies, loots them, and packs everything up along with his earlier hunt on their horses. Soon after, once the ladies are done fixing their clothes, he escorts them safely back to their domain. Back at the guild, Ark asks for his guild ID to be issued immediately after successfully completing his trial. The guild keeper checks the validity of his bag and then hands the rookie adventurer a magical crystal that was inside one of the monsters. Apparently, these crystals sell for quite a hefty price and can be used to craft magical and powerful items. Finally, with money in the bag and ID in hand, Ark can focus on what really matters: food. He rushes to the nearest tavern and orders a full banquet to be delivered to his room post-haste to fill his empty stomach. For his next quest, Ark takes on an herb-gathering escort mission in a village on the outskirts of town, something low-key so he doesn't draw attention. Arriving early at the employer's house, he meets a young girl trying to help her mother shoulder the burden after her father's death. When asked if he's sure this is the right job for him, Ark insists it's the perfect one. After all, this is the kind of mission you always start with in a game like this. The girl, of course, has no clue what he's talking about, so he just brushes it off as a great chance to learn about gathering herbs. On their way to the tree, they discover a wounded, multi-tailed kitsune. The little rascal tries a basic bite attack on the big lug, and unsurprisingly, it does negative damage. If anything, it just looks adorable. Ark then tames the wild beast by using his regenerative abilities for the first time in this world. As a result, the cute little kitsune shows its appreciation for Ark's healing and decides to stick around. He names the raccoon rat-looking creature Punta, a name it clearly likes, since it spends 2 whole minutes dancing and running all over Ark's torso. Later, they reach a tree with white leaves at the bottom of a cliff. Marka goes down the hill first, excited to see the tree in full bloom. Suddenly, Punta starts growling at something malicious. Sensing danger, Ark shouts a warning to the young girl. Something bad's coming. Out of nowhere, a giant basilisk appears. The basilisk is a powerful lizard monster loaded with nasty status ailments: poison, fog gas, petrify, and even severe bleeding from a single slash of its claws. Ark acts fast, scooping the little girl into his arms and keeping her close while fighting the beast. With her in tow, skewering this overgrown lizard isn't going to be easy. Thankfully, using Dimension Leap, he was able to move around pretty fast. After parrying all the basilisk's slashes and dodging its attacks, the monster's had enough and decides to Cassiopeia ult this Garen abuser. Unfortunately for the lizard, its petrification skill is useless against Ark, thanks to his W, that powerful shield. After that, the bruiser flashes his mastery level and taunts the basilisk into attacking again. With sword and shield, Ark parried like a Souls game pro and dropped the Wrath of Demacia on a level 30 newbie. Afterward, they encounter a giant boar, which Ark kills and gifts to the villagers. The pelt and skin go to Marka, while the meat is shared among everyone for a feast. A wholesome family moment follows, and soon everyone's happy with the banquet Ark provided. He then leaves the village with his new companion, Punta, and promises to meet the little girl again someday. The scene then shifts. The sound of swords clashing fills the air as soldiers battle a second basilisk hidden in the area. They manage to kill it, but not before suffering heavy losses. The troop commander learns there's another big lizard, one that was nearly cut in half with a single slash. He wonders if there's a man out there capable of such power, or if it's just some freak accident. Speaking of freaks, Ark is seen celebrating a good day's work with Punta back at the inn in the best way he knows how, devouring food. Now, as Kendrick Lamar once said, let me put you on some game. Once upon a time, elves were in chains. They warred with the humans, but in the end, neither side gained anything. Fast forward to today, and some humans still invade the territories of elves despite the peace pact between them. They capture them as prisoners and take their freedom by selling them as slaves, a thing the lady elf in the hood is planning to put a stop to, since her honor as an elf warrior, as well as the chief's daughter, compels her to do so. The scene with the elf is interrupted, taking us to Ark and Ponta mercilessly hunting down bandits with literal sparks coming out of their eyes. After finishing off their sorry asses, Ark goes to further inspect the cave, where he finds a huge treasure chest ripe for the picking. Next to it, he also finds abandoned cages with dishes in front of them. But considering that a literal treasure trove lies before him, Ark doesn't give the cages a second thought and gets back to his loot. Elsewhere, in a pompous, arrogant noble's home, an attendant reports to his lord that the assassination of Madame Louisville failed. Do you recall the girl from episode 1? Yeah, they're talking about her, as the attack by bandits on her carriage was all a setup by this corrupt man. Not only was he pissed off at the incompetence of the hired cutthroats, but he was also livid at the monster's demise. Yup, turns out this fat bastard was behind the basilisks too. Further talks reveal that all this backing and these resources were provided by none other than the Prince of the Kingdom. The old fatty then speaks of a product that should be sent off to the market soon, so they need to make sure everything is in order. Returning to Ark, as he discusses his feast with Ponta, they are attacked by the elf lady. Thinking at first that it was one of the bandits who had survived, Ark fights back. But after her hood falls off and he remembers her from that alley, Young Ark tries to reason with her. However, one cannot reason with a confused chick seeing red. "Return the children that you have taken, and I will give you a swift death," she says, confusing Ark, who tries to explain that he isn't who she thinks he is. Sadly, this baddie is out for blood. She closes all channels of explanation and prepares to strike Ark. Surprisingly, she stops her attack on Sir Ark after seeing his trusty companion. She explains that Ponta is a spirit creature, and spirit creatures are very cautious around humans in general, but friendly toward elves. However, Ponta's race is also cautious of elves and rarely likes them, making kitsunes the hardest folks to catch. In short, Ponta choosing Ark as his companion is nothing short of a miracle, and a sign that Ark is one of the purest knights. Therefore, the elf apologizes to Ark, lays down her arms, and explains the situation. Earlier, she was on the trail of those bandits after they led an operation, hunting and selling off her people to the highest bidder. After hearing that, Ark puts one and one together and realizes what the cages were for. Ark asks if she wants any help, a task he wishes to take on wholeheartedly, as she is the first elf he's ever met. Sadly, she refuses, but still, our nerd boy knows his game.
"This is one of those quests where you have to help out the beautiful elf girl!"
After the two part ways, Ark is back at the tavern where he and Discount Pikachu feast till their bellies are stuffed to the max. The next morning, Ark and Ponta begin their scavenger hunt, looking for the whereabouts of the dark elf. As they walk through the forest, Ponta becomes on guard when a scream rings out, a young elf girl being chased by soldiers who have already captured her friends. Right before Ark jumps into action, Best Girl appears out of the woods in a flash. To further demonstrate her speed, Lady Busty slashes two guards before they even realize what hit them. One of the guards then recognizes the elf as a rare dark elf, claiming that if they capture her, she'll fetch a high price on the market. Easier said than done. She proceeds to cut down the guards one after another without breaking a sweat. Sadly, however, the leader of the group, who happens to be the son of that pompous noble from earlier, warns her that if she makes any move, he will kill the hostages. This turn of events was like cuffs put on the proud warrior elf, who now had to stand in silence while the bandits had their way with her body, all for the sake of the children.
"I'm afraid I'll have to break my promise."
Damn it. From the moment Ark came out of nowhere apologizing to knocking out that douche kid, man, that sequence felt so damn good. Afterward, the two of them dispatched the remaining resistance easily and then set the little kids free by shattering the lock with pure brute strength. Upon taking a closer look, the baddie realizes why the little ones couldn't escape from their captors. It was all because of the accursed mana-leeching collars they had on, which prevented them from using their spirit magic. Sadly, she can't remove the collars. The only way to do so is back in the village. Yet, unbeknownst to her, our boy Ark is a man of many talents and skills. Removing the collars with the uncursed spell is an easy feat for him, as well as healing the wounds of the captives. Soon after, the elf warrior sends for an escort to take those children back to their village via a spirit bird that can memorize a speech and deliver it. The bird then returns to her with news of the location of the slavers' headquarters and that the rest of the elves are being held there. Consequently, the elven faction plans to attack the headquarters soon, and they ask for her assistance in the matter, who, in turn, enlists Ark's aid in the cause. Ark, having decided to aid Ariani in the rescue mission, heads back to Diento along with her to meet up with their contact and devise a plan to rescue the elves. Along the way, poor Ark had his hopes up thinking that the contact would be yet another busty, sexy elf, only to have his world rocked and hopes crushed after meeting Danka, the male elf that never smiles. The trio decides to head to a local tavern to discuss their plans. Ark refuses to eat, claiming he's full, but in reality, he doesn't want to reveal his bony face. Ark then changes the subject by asking for the new guy's full name, which turns out to be the same as Ariani's. However, they're not related in any way outside of being from the same village. Ariane explains that elves don't have unique last names for each family. Instead, they all carry their village's name as a last name. Ark's like, "Cool story, bro. Now what do you want to tell us, D? Any new info to share? What's your plan?" Danka, however, dodges the main subject and just talks about the local dishes of the town, yapping about some irrelevant stuff. To put it simply, he ignores Ark and low-key disrespects him, a thing our boy is fully aware of. The disrespect keeps going as long as they sit together and eat. But once the patronizing elf sees Ponta, his behavior settles a bit, kind of like what happened with Ariani. After learning where the elves are being kept and agreeing to raid the place at night, Ponta and Ark leave the group to complete some errands, mainly to enjoy some food before the mission, since, as mentioned before, Ark doesn't prefer to take off his helmet in front of others. Later that night, the three meet up and the mission officially starts. Using short-range teleportation, Ark, Danka, and Ariani manage to reach the roof of the building undetected. That said, the super-duper serious mission has to wait until Lady Ariane wiggles her way through the tight window. And let me tell you, her dummy thick proportions aren't helping. Neither are the boys, who conveniently forget to mention that they can just teleport inside. Anywho, upon entering one of the rooms below, they discover two guards with their throats slit. The blood is still fresh, which means the killer is still close. To speed up the search, the group decides to split. Using his teleport skill, Ark manages to cover ground quickly without making a single sound. He also uses the ability to enter rooms after peeking through the keyholes. Inside one room, he finds more bodies lying on their beds with their throats slit. While wondering who could have done this, two kunai fly toward his head. Ark easily blocks them. After all, what's a legendary armor set for if it can't block basic attacks? The killer is revealed to be a ninja. They attack Ark with everything they have, only to fail to cause a dent in his rock-solid armor. As usual, once they see Panta on Ark's shoulder, the ninja apologizes for attacking him. They then throw a scroll, claiming he might find a good use for it, and leave, also telling him where the imprisoned elves are being kept. The trio heads off to find the girls as quickly as possible, having already alerted their enemies. But it's not like these three can't handle a few goons. Once they finally reach the girls, Ark destroys the steel cage and teleports everyone to safety outside the town. Just like before, Ark removes the mana-dampening collars from the girls, freeing them from their binds, much to Danka's surprise, who witnesses this feat for the first time. Seeing that Ark is more than capable, Dee decides to escort the little girls back home, leaving Ark and Ariani to raid the local lord's castle and free the two remaining elves. The local lord had two mature grown elves inside his chamber that he was torturing in front of his son to teach him how to deal with their kind. In the meantime, Ark and Ariani were able to sneak into the castle, but they did get caught once they touched the ground. Even though they alerted their enemies to their presence, they still managed to give them the slip and enter the Lord's chambers. Ariani then gives him the Godel kick to the sack treatment, dropping him unconscious where he stood. And before we move on, you should see it again because damn. That was satisfying, especially with the bastard thinking he's too big to be dealt with.
How dare you barge in here!
While intimidating the bastard's kid, Ark discovers a secret room storing the gold reserves of the Viscount. Like any sane man/professional gamer would, Ark claims the loot for himself. When Ariani asks about it, the main man claims that it's a strategic move to cripple the Countess's movement, which in hindsight was pretty smart and accurate. After the girls take revenge on the fat bastard, explosion bombs go off one after another in the castle, leaving it in ruin. Ark and Ariani make their way out of the castle with the gold reserves, ensuring that the slave trade operation won't be able to recover anytime soon. With that, Ariani now fully trusts Ark, especially considering everything they have gone through together so far, so she invites him to meet the elven elder at her village to ensure his safe entry. Lady Booba further notes that even though they succeeded in this town, it doesn't mean their mission is over. Elves all over the world are being kidnapped and sold as slaves, and Ariani plans to free them all, with Ark, if he accepts her request. Of course, Ark doesn't miss a beat and immediately agrees to the offer. That said, to be on the same page moving forward, Ark tells Ari that he hasn't been 100% frank with her, stating that if he removed his armor, she might be compelled to raise her sword against him. After she gives her word that nothing would make her attack him, Ark removes his helmet, revealing his face. Through his journey in the New World so far, this is the hardest decision for Ark to make. Yet he still trusted Ariani and her word. A decision proven very wise as their friendship withstands this key event and even becomes stronger, with Ariani promising that together they will free the elves and find a way to break his curse for good. Yeah, Ark still leans into the curse bit, an easier route than admitting it's just his preferred avatar model. Back in the human kingdom, the royal family holds a meeting concerning the situation with the corrupt Marquise. They decided to further investigate the slave trade thing, as well as have a meeting with the elven elders to ensure that their diplomatic alliance still stood in some sense. Back with the main duo, on their journey to Ariani's village, the two camp for the night in the wild. Hearing that the elvish baddie is still hungry, Ark heads off to fetch them something to eat, leaving Ariani to chill at the camp with the sleeping Panta, who is too cute to resist. After a long and arduous journey, Ark and Ariani arrive at her settlement. Ariane goes in first to speak with the elders and allow Ark entry into the village. Although she tells him it won't take long, it ends up taking way too long. To pass the time, our boy plays catch with Ponta, swings his sword, does squats, and just hangs out until sunset. Meeting the elder and his wife, Ark is surprised to learn they're Ariane's parents. Though if you recall, she did mention she was the daughter of the chief when they first freed the elves. Our boy just skipped that dialogue option, it seems. That said, it's no matter to fret over, as the subject at hand is more important, namely the slave contract and the mansion attack. Ari's father decides that it would be best to raise those matters at the next elders meeting, to which everyone agrees. The political talk ends once food is served. Hesitant to remove his helmet, Ark looks at the food and wonders what to do. Ariane assures him that he is among friends and has nothing to hide. Her father also tells him he knows about his situation, and that he need not worry about them. The next day, Ark wakes up to discover that Ariane and her father have already departed to Maple to speak with the elders. With no one left behind to entertain the honored guest, Ariane's mother takes him around the village for a tour. The villagers' discomfort is obvious. They do not trust humans, but the two girls he saved earlier approach to thank him for rescuing them. After the little reunion ends, Ark apologizes for the holdup. Ariane's mother tells him not to worry about it, as she has other plans in mind.
How about we spar a bit?
Although hesitant to duel her, Ari's mother, reveals that she was the one who taught Lady Ariane the ways of the sword, encouraging Ark to go all out. As soon as they start, Ark is on the ground with her wooden sword at his face. A few more rounds commence and it's the same outcome every time. Simply put, she is way too fast for Ark to handle, tossing him around like a ragdoll. Meanwhile, as Ari and her father stroll through Maple, Ariane gets tackled to the ground by her older sister, from whom she just received word about an upcoming marriage. Back with the training session, after getting his ass handed to him repeatedly by Ariane's mother, Lady Mommy prepares a hot bath for him and Ponta to rest and recover in. The two enjoy their bath quite a lot. Coincidentally, upon Ariane's return from her trip, she heads to take a soak and relax, only to find Ark already bing-chilling in the tub with Ponta, who looks unbothered by the firebomb Ark is about to receive. Fast forward past this awkward moment, the elder tells Ark about what happened in the meeting, which was unfruitful, as the old-timers decided to wait and see what the kingdom does next, while continuing to save as many elves as they can. Thus, Ari's father officially enlists Ark's help. And since Ark has amassed a huge fortune by now thanks to all the raids, the elder will be paying him in the form of information, specifically, valuable intel on how to remove his curse. The first clue he drops is the existence of a well that can cure any curse. Later, while sitting alone in his room, Ark reflects on how his skeleton curse, originally just part of his in-game character backstory, has become a real isekai situation, with people earnestly trying to cure him of it. He gets a wild idea. What if he tries using the uncursed spell on himself? To be safe, Ark casts it on his finger, and much to his surprise, it works. His hand becomes normal once more. Following a night of uncursed casting, the duo makes their way through the woods to a nearby village tavern, where they decide how they will attack the next enemy camp involved in slave trading. The tavern keeper overhears their plans to head deep into the forest and warns them to stay away as haunted wolves roam those woods. But since it's the only shortcut to beat the slave traders to the camp, the duo decides to take the risk regardless. Walking through the forest, Ariane tells Ark the stories she used to hear about those wolves. She also mentions that a veil made from hunted wolf fur is the best thing to give to a newlywed wife, or in this case, her sister. Speaking of the devil, the wolves appear out of nowhere and begin attacking them from all directions. The encounter is yet another reminder for Ark that strength alone can only get him so far, and he can't rely too heavily on it when facing such beasts and skilled enemies. After all, the haunted wolves are masters of illusions. Ark notices their leader in the distance and decides to attack head-on, teleporting straight to its location to put an end to this battle. At that moment, he sees a black shackle on the wolf's leg, just like the one the basilisk had. Ark resolves to free the wolf rather than kill it. Once the shackle is broken, the wolf snaps out of its trance and recalls its pack to leave the area, but not before giving Ark a long, grateful look as thanks for granting them freedom once more. After Ark explains the weird shackle to Ariane, she asks for some time. She wants that precious hunted wolf fur. The scene then shifts to the princess on her secret diplomatic mission, which gets cut short when her carriage is attacked by an unknown enemy. Luckily for her, the main man and his trusty raccoon rat are resting nearby. Ponta's keen sense of danger triggers and Ark follows. Before the main character arrives, the princess is stabbed in the heart, while her retainer meets a gruesome end at the hands of masked individuals. Soon after, Ponta jumps one of the soldiers, and we all know that can only mean Ark is right behind him to jump these mother lovers. Ark fights off the assassins, then checks on the fallen NPCs. Though he didn't need any help, considering he tanked hits to the back like they were mosquito bites, the wolf pack he rescued earlier comes in clutch to lend a helping paw. After taking the assassins out, Ark makes sure no one is around before using his regeneration magic on the dead princess and her guards, bringing them back. He isn't able to revive everyone, likely because too much time had passed, and Ark doesn't want to be there when they wake up. So he leaves quickly. That said, the princess does catch a blurry glimpse of him casting the spell. In her mind, Princess Juliana interprets it as divine intervention and gives her soldiers an inspiring speech, pushing them to carry on their mission after regrouping with Lady Ariani, who, by the way, has just finished skinning the dead furball. They continue toward the nearby town. In the market, Ark and Ariani see three guys ganging up on a little girl. Ark wants to intervene but is stopped by Ariani, who sees through the little girl immediately. They stand by and watch her beat the trash with ease. Having dealt with the goons, the girl approaches the duo. Once she gets closer and starts talking, Ark realizes this is the same ninja he met during the previous mission. Finally meeting again, the ninja excitedly gives Ark her name, Chiome, as well as her background and why she was in the mansion. To save you time, her backstory and motivations are basically the same as Ariani's. Her people are being subjugated and hunted by humans, so she works with a faction to free the beastmen. Ariane wonders if they can trust her, but Ark confirms they can, telling her that Chiome was the one who gave him the slave contract. They then head somewhere more private to speak without interruptions. There, she asks Ark the same question Lady Ariane asked him a couple of episodes back. Would you help me free my race from captivity? Yep. It's not just elves being sold into slavery. Humans are also selling off beastmen, a matter the duo decides to solve, and thus, they accept the little ninja's request for aid. Back at the castle, the prince behind the fat bastard is furious that his plan to kill his sister failed spectacularly, especially after hearing that the wolves attacked the assassins too. Now, back to the main group. We learn that the clan Chiome belongs to was formed by someone called Hanzo.
Hanzo!
The name immediately leads Ark to conclude that this Hanzo was Japanese like him. And at some point around 600 years prior, he must have ended up in this world under similar circumstances. Hearing all this makes Ark excited, and a bit envious, of how this Hanzo lad managed to form a clan and have his name live on for hundreds of years as a legend. The good kind of envy, you know? The kind that motivates you to aim higher. Anyway, after arriving at the heavily guarded slave market deep in the woods, the three begin devising a plan of attack. It was supposed to be a hit-and-run mission with the girlie acting as a decoy, which the duo refuses. Ark then reveals that he can teleport. Hearing this, Chiome realizes she wasn't imagining things when she saw him appear from thin air at the mansion. Excited, she proposes a new plan: attack all 4 locations of the slave market simultaneously to cause chaos. Someone will act as a diversion to keep the guards busy, while the others infiltrate the prison and free the captives. After having a meal, Ark gets a new mask in hopes of drawing even more attention during the raid. Later, after a brief test of strength outside the castle, Gomen, a powerful beastman ninja, accompanies Ark to storm the front gates, distracting the guards while the girls infiltrate from the back to find the captives. At the castle doorsteps, the two charge in like angry bulls, tearing the gate down and taking on the full force of the guards in the area. With Gomen using his earth and metal magic, his body becomes impervious to blades and axes. As for Ark, well, he's just out there throwing soldiers left and right. Witnessing this brutal display of strength, the guards are pissing themselves while Ark laughs. The masculine duo then decides to crank things up and use magic. That might have been a bit too much, as their magical powers react with each other and end up totaling the entire area. With Gomen and Ark distracting the full force of the guards, the strike team gains the opening they need to attack the market and free the slaves. They enter the market's dungeon, but not without some resistance. That said, the two ladies are masters of their arts and weapons. To put it bluntly, half-assed guards are no match for them and are dealt with instantly. Consequently, they manage to make their way to the lowest floors to free the slaves and rendezvous with Ark and Gomen. The girls explain that the royal army is inbound, adding that one more building remains to be searched. The three then rush as fast as they can, while Goman stays behind to guard their backs and hold off the enemy for as long as he can. When they examine the innermost cell, they discover the rotting, dead bodies of the injured and sick slaves who were abandoned there. Ark is enraged at what he sees, but he takes a deep breath. Mission comes first. The main man then teleports all the beastmen to safety and decides to head back. Upon arrival, Ark checks on Goman, and together they combine powers to perform the same attack from before, boosting their Earth attack to bring down the market and everyone in it. With the bastards dealt with, the boys return safe and sound with the bodies of the dead to give them a proper burial. Meanwhile, the prince behind it all is slain by his most trusted advisor. Following the orders of the prince's sect, the true masterminds behind every evil scheme that has happened so far. Yup, turns out the prince who died was nothing but a puppet in their hands. They were even behind the assassination plot against his sister, whom they firmly believe met her end, especially after the advisor clutches her necklace in the palm of his hand. Elsewhere, the princess arrives at her older sister's mansion, who is relieved to see her alive and well. Juliana then learns that rumors of her demise at her brother's command have already spread through the royal halls. She also learns that her brother has been killed in an unexpected turn of events, and no one knows the truth behind his death. The shrewd princess puts one and one together. It was her brother's sect all along, scheming to seize the throne for themselves and ensure no rival could challenge their claim. Despite her older sister's suggestion to ease their father, the king's heart, Princess Juliana decides the best course of action is to keep the fact that she survived a secret and use the advantage while she can. Back with the main gang. As agreed prior to the mission, Chiome provides Ark and Ariani the information they needed about where the enslaved elves are being shipped off to, the Holy Revlon Empire in the east, and with that, the duo has their next destination. To reach the Holy Revlon Empire, Ark and Ariani will have to cross a huge desert first. On the way, the duo gets slowed down by hordes of flying wyverns in the area. With the skies ruled by the wyverns, the messenger bird with Ariani can't fly back home to relay information. Ark's solution, however, is to fry those flying chickens with an AoE lightning spell. One thing he didn't account for, though, was the fact that lightning does not care about friendly fire. At the tavern, Ark confronts Lady Ariane about how she's been acting ever since Chiome gave them information about the Holy Revlon Empire. Her reason for the change of heart is simple. In the Revlon Empire, capturing elves isn't prohibited, illegal, or hidden. It's normal and widely accepted. Basically, an elf's life is in jeopardy just by existing there. Before she can continue explaining, an elf walking in broad daylight, not even covering his ears, interrupts to tell her she's wrong. She watches in disbelief as every human there is friendly to him. The eccentric elf explains that he has lived in this border town for over 10 peaceful years. His name is Karzi, a monster biologist who makes a living studying the local fauna. Lately, however, he has struggled to capture wyverns for his studies, which is why he asks for Ark's help after witnessing the thunderstorm Ark pulled off earlier. As payment, he offers them a detailed map of the Revlon Empire, something they desperately need, and to sweeten the deal, a copy of his monster encyclopedia. And as gamers, we all know just how important a monster almanac can be. So of course, Ark practically jumps in excitement at the thought of having that book. Therefore, the two agree to help him. After making the deal official, Ark and Ariani head to their room, but not before Ark takes his food and a big barrel of booze, one of the finest around, given as a gift by the owner for their generous tip. Now in their room, a down Ari decides to take a shot of alcohol which boosts her mood. She then takes another which makes her ears flap. The following day, Karzi teases Ariani about last night's oopsie. The monster they're hunting is a sandworm. These beasts feast on wyverns, are 4 to 5 meters long, and are weak to fire, which is why Karzi asks Ark not to use fire so he doesn't kill or scare it away. Suddenly, Lady Ariane notices that the carriages behind them are gone. A sandworm, 30 meters long, bursts out of the ground and attacks the fallen carriage. Ariane rushes in to rescue the driver, but the beast doesn't care about her fire attack. Instead, it lunges and seemingly swallows her whole, but once the dust settles, we see Ark holding her, and the beast, with one hand. After the coward flees, Ark yanks the worm out of the ground and slams it down, incapacitating it. And with that, their contract is fulfilled, and Ark receives the book and the detailed map of the Empire. Meanwhile, Ariani is still coming to terms with the idea of humans and elves coexisting. Both Ark and Ari agree that even if she can't see it yet, a future like that may be right on the horizon, The scene then shifts to the shady man behind the dark gear, speaking condescendingly to the Emperor's messenger. He then takes his guest, and the women he brought, on a tour of the pit containing the beasts he's been specifically training to take down the kingdom. They finally reach the Empire's border town where the kidnapped elves are being held. First things first, they begin gathering intel around the city to find any clues. From what Ark learns, cries can be heard from the castle in the east. Several people have gone missing, and monsters are appearing at the edges of the Empire's territory. The info recap gets cut short when Ark hears a lady in distress, so he immediately rushes to the scene and saves the day by simply flicking the foreheads of the thugs. After a tense moment between the new girl and the original baddie, who didn't hesitate to slip in a low-key threat toward this NPC contender, the newcomer bolted from the oblivious knight's arms in a frantic hurry. Later at night, the duo regroup and share the intel they gathered. Their clues lead them to a fortress in the middle of the forest. The duo sneaks into the heavily guarded area hoping to find any surviving elves, or at least any prisoners. After finding the hidden door the informant told them about, Ariani and Ark head down the stairs. The farther they descend, the more unbearable the stench of monsters fills the air, especially after entering a room guarded by men who are now unconscious thanks to the duo. Examining further, they encounter the one behind it all, Funba. As stated before, this man is the one behind creating those beasts' collars and the kidnappings of people who he used to feed his beasts. The guy wasn't worried that a big beast of a man was standing before him. He was more concerned about what to feed his big pet and, of course, Lady Ariane's booba. Feeling the Sigma cells pump in his blood, Funba declares Ariane as his woman and orders her to kill the rust bucket, Ark. Hearing this, Ark wonders if the man is tripping or just legitimately brain dead, but to his surprise, Lady Ariane charges at him at full power, intending to kill. After taking a second, Ark uses Uncurse on her, but it doesn't work. Ariane is already balls deep in an illusion of training with her sister. As the fight continues, it becomes clear this isn't some simple spell. Luckily, when Ariane lands a powerful blow, Ark sees something hiding in her hood, so he sends Ponta after it. The creature looks like a mini goblin with bat wings, an imp, a monster that can cast illusions and control minds. Once exposed, Ark turns it into dust instantly. Impressed, Funba introduces himself as the ultimate beastmaster. Any beast can fall under his control and become his slave. Ark then spots the familiar black rings on his belt and realizes it was him all along. The basilisks, the wolves, and even the sandworm. Funba is the one who poisoned their minds. Ark demands answers about the missing elves, and Funba smugly tells him that some were used as experiments for the capital, and others were fed to the tiger beast behind him.
That was funny as hell!
Enraged, Ark immediately cuts off the head of the beast this sick bastard was so proud of. Yet Funba still acts tough. He still has plenty of other monsters under his command and thinks they'll be enough. Ark proves him wrong by destroying them one after the other. Even though Ark can protect himself easily, Ariane is still unconscious, and an ogre is about to crush her like a pancake. Fortunately, a familiar ally swoops in. Chiome rescues Lady Ariane just in time and reveals she didn't come alone. The Shinobi Squad, the strike team, and even Gomen arrive to help the gang and slaughter every monster under Funba's control. However, being a slimy bastard, Funba reveals he still has one terrifying creature left under his command. His ace in the hole, a powerful destructive Hydra. The Hydra then unleashes a powerful water blast at the three, taking them out. Or at least, that's how it looks. Thanks to his shield, Ark survives the initial blast and teleports the whole gang away almost instantly. With no one left to stop the Hydra from rampaging through the forest toward the city, destruction seems inevitable. Fitting for a beast dubbed the Destroyer of Nations, an unstoppable monster that wipes out everything in its path like a typhoon. That's how Chi describes the Hydra arc, however, is taking none of that crap. Natural disasters like earthquakes and actual typhoons can't be stopped. But this is a living monster, and a living monster can be slain. Ark uses Wyvern Slash, revealing his presence to Funba, who watches in disbelief as his beloved beast gets its ass handed to it. Ark cycles through his wide arsenal of attacks, Shield Bash, Armored Lariat, Dimension Move, Judgment, one after another, only to realize the Hydra has a regeneration effect. This put Ark in an undesirable situation, to say the least. So as a last-ditch effort, our main man uses one of his most powerful skills, one that's supposed to last only 5 minutes. He summons none other than the Lord of Flames, Ifrit. Yup, it's time for a Godzilla-level showdown. Before we get to the main event, we gotta see the girls throw down with Mr. Inferiority Complex himself. Ariane calls him out on it hard, doubling down on the weakling claims. Funba fires back with a no you and tries to control her again with imps, only to fail spectacularly. While he's distracted, Chiome destroys the pattern carved into his back, severing his control over the Hydra. The boss music cues up. We are at the climax. Ariane reduced Funba to a perfect crisp with a burst of fire magic. Meanwhile, Ifrit tore 2 heads off the Hydra as if they were nothing. Desperate, the creature tried to flee, but Ark wasn't about to let that happen. He seized its tail, hurled the monster into the air, and once again, made his power undeniable. The boss battle ends when Sir Ark orders Ifrit to use his ultimate skill, Flame Hellion, burning the monster to a crisp just like its master. Elsewhere, the princess reveals she is still alive and reassures the elves, after meeting the elders, that she is willing to do whatever it takes to ensure a future of equality and prosperity for elves, beastmen and humans alike. However, to achieve this future, she will require the backing of the elves against her brother to make certain that she ascends the throne and not him. As such, and according to their agreement, the mission Lady Ariane was assigned to got put on hold, and she was summoned back home. On their way back, Ark reveals his true nature to Chiome. Although she freaks out at first, Chi quickly accepts his appearance, and just like that, they carry on together as normal. The series ends with Ariane promising to take Ark to the spring that could cure his curse. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.